Welcome to this tutorial. A very important tutorial across in your journey as a Mulesoft developer, as a Mulesoft architect, as a Mulesoft designer. At every point in time, at the end of every project or during the project, one important phase is moving to the cloud. You want to be able to move your projects to the cloud. You want to be able to leverage the Mulesoft process orchestration to better monitor, to better analyze, and to be able to schedule your things more appropriately. Because over the past sessions, we have been working on our system. However, a system cannot be on forever. You want to be able to move this to the cloud so that this process can actually be scheduled. Microsoft has provided us with facilities, okay, with servers that can be on throughout 24/7. We don't need to worry about downtime. We don't need to worry about starting our system running out of power supply or any of such. So that's the idea of working with the cloud. We don't need to worry about that, network network connectivity issues. So basically, we have created different projects locally and we have executed them on our system, but now we want to actually move to the cloud. So basically, I'm just going to show you the any points platform, the cloud platform, and we'll just create a simple project and we'll deploy it to the cloud. So basically, you can actually log into this using just go to anypoints.mulesoft.com. I've done that. When you download the software the first time, automatically you have a username and password, which is also you can also use in your endpoints in your any points. If you clicked on this button, Open Exchange allows you to access. There are actually some new APIs that are not in the palette from time to time. You want to work with something, you might need to go search for it. Yeah, if you can't find it, you need to click on this button to add modules. Yeah. So basically, we want to come here and see what are the features here. I'm just going to give you a little brief thought about this, and we'll create a new project, something simple, and actually deploy it to the cloud and actually test it. So in less we just the idea is in very few seconds, once you create an endpoint that you can actually give to anybody across the globe, and okay, say this is running, you can use it on your application because my application is running, no downtime, it's fail proof. So first of all, we have the design center. Like the design center is pretty new. Um, I've used it for just tutorial purposes, but not for real projects because I feel over the most organizations are more conversant with the Anypoint Studio, which we have been working in previously. So you can actually just see this a new Mulesoft app. You create a name, can create a name, and you can actually start your dragging, dropping, and everything. Something is pretty similar to what we have been doing previously. You have a canvas, you have the various models. That's it. So if you have been following the series by now, you must be an expert with your Anypoint Studio, and I'm certain that you'll find your way. You find your way is also around here. So Anypoint, like we have been, one of the first things we always see is the listeners in previous series. So those are the kind of things. Where do you want to connect from? So like we have seen how to use a HTTP connector, a listener. We click next. What is the output? I trying to connect to an SAP system. I trying to connect to a Salesforce system. I trying to connect to um, anything. So you can just do okay, go straight to Canvas, and you can actually start your flow here. However, that's not what we'll be focusing on today. In a different series, we'll actually explore using the design center, the cloud tool, rather than the Anypoint Studio we have been working with previously. So let's go back to this. I'll just go back here and delete this. I'll just delete this. Okay. So we have the exchange. I made mention of the exchange earlier on. So we can also do access management. Helps us just the right person has access to the right person has access to the system. You can actually create a business group, add users, add roles. There are different types of roles in this in the studio. And also for runtime manager, this is where we'll be actually seeing how to this this the runtime manager is very important, because this is where we would actually be able to deploy applications. So basically you would actually have a design and a sandbox. um, for me, most times for training purposes I use the sandbox. They are both similar. I currently have an application running here. So because of I'm using a demo license, we can't actually we can't actually run a lot of things at the same time. I'll just try and stop this and delete it. I'll try and stop this and delete it. So basically, you have different ways of deploying an application. You can actually click deploy. It tells you to put in a name. Any name you put in here has to be a unique name. So you can set unique name across the globe, across other clients. So a good practice is putting your. You can actually put a particular code known in your organization, and with an underscore followed by the name of the project. Then also we'll upload a jar file, because for after every project it's when it compile it generates a jar file, which we can upload here. And you can choose the runtime version based on current. This is the most at the time of this tutorial, this is the most recent version, and that's what's currently my Anypoint Studio is running on, 4.3. If you check the version, you will be able to see it. Yeah, I'm using my mule server is a 4.3 server. Also, yeah, the course just has to do with like what if you're actually working with something very very tedious, or very that takes a lot of processing power. You just need to increase the core. So all the cores are just okay. They are organized in bits of 500 megabytes. So based on how many cores you want, you choose, and you can actually choose the number of workers. Worker means how many processes can be assigned to you at the same time. So if you're actually doing something that is these are basically just um, depending on the processing speed you need, depending on the workload you need, you can increase the worker size, and the number of workers. Workers is how many logical units are assigned to you to actually carry out this process. However, I'll just show you one of my favorite way of actually deploying a project to the cloud. So I'm just going to go back to Anypoint Studio. For this, I'm just going to create a new project. So I'll just stop this. So file, I'm creating a new project. I'll call this to cloud. So like I made mention of the server, the Mulesoft server I was using earlier on. So you can see I'm using 4.3, which is the current version. So just do this, finish. So just a simple listener service that just okay logs and returns it sends a simple listener. And good thing about it, I configured the listener. I'm going to use my local connection on my system. However, when I deploy to the cloud, it gives me an API, a URL that I can actually point to easily. I don't need to come and start trying to manipulate anything or make anything complex further. So I'm just going to use my everything default, run on localhost, run on 8081. The base part of this, I would use the name of the project. Okay, and what is this? I'm going to just do a calculate. I'll just call this sum. Then the next thing I want to do is I just want to have a logger. In my logger, I want to just show. So basically, I'm going to create a simple process that will have a payload of something like this. It will send into numbers, it will do an addition and return it back to us. So it's going to have something like this. And the results should be something like this. Okay. So the reason why I'm not using, if you're following the series, you would ask why did I not deploy the previous project? Because the previous project has a lot of files, has a lot of scenarios that can actually be messy, which it was for training purposes. So we'd not put in a lot of checks, a lot of error checks, and the rest. So that's why I'm trying to use a new fresh project that's pretty clean, that we understand everything, so that when we deploy to the server, we can understand the information. Also, because we'll also be talking about the logs. So that's the idea of using this. So um, after this, I just want a transform message. I just want a transform message that will be sending back to the server. I just want is okay, return a JSON and saying the total should be equals to the payload dot the number one. This is the first value plus the payload number two. Yeah. So our API is ready. We just have one file in this and in the project. So if we go to the list now, we are going to be executing. We'll be listening on. We'll be sending this on to cloud and some. So let's go to. We need to do one more thing. This listener should be a post request. So I'll just go to Postman. I'm creating a post request. Local host. I'm listening on point 8081 to cloud to cloud, and I'm trying to do the sum of two digits, and we are going to have a payload of JSON, and we are supplying this. So let's see whether we have a console, everything is okay. I need to run this. I don't think I ran it before. So it takes a few seconds to come up. It's a pretty simple project, so it shouldn't take long. So the idea of this is we are going to test this with Postman pointing to the local version, and later on would actually point to when we upload this file to the cloud, we would also try and execute. So that's the idea. And if you're following the series, this will be a good place for you to do it, an assignment. You'd using the configuration files, how to move between, how to point from one environment to the other. So I would invite you to actually just try this out, how to point to the right environment, because on the cloud you have the sandbox environment, you also have the design environment. So Let's see if I do this. How do I wait? Okay, I'm going to test. So our API seems to work fine. So we are ready to go to the cloud. So I'm going to file. No, I'm going to go click on my project here. I'll right click. I'll go to any points platform. I'll click on deploy to cloud hub. This is my I find this way of deploying to the cloud pretty easy. It's very it's very it's easier to follow rather than like, because when you, after if not, what you need to do is you need to compile your project. So let me just show you. Normally, typically, if you actually want to create a file, you can actually do this: export any point platform. You can click on export. You go to mole. So what does is it generates a jar file for you, and when it generates a jar file for you, you come back here and upload the file. This is what it is, the deploy application is for. However, my preference is I deploy directly from here, because sometimes you can experience corruption in between the files. So I prefer to just do it in between, indirectly here. I'm not exporting anything, I just deploy directly from here. So I'm just going to sign in. You should have a username or password. If you've been following tutorial, when you downloaded the software the first time, you should have a password. Okay. So basically, it shows us this environment. It asks us, what do you want to upload this? We have a design or a sandbox. I'm going to use sandbox for mine. It's based on choice. On when you actually buy a license, you also have a production server and a test server. So like you can see, it asks you, when you click on this, it tells you this name is not available. This name cannot start to end with a dash. It must be maximum of 42 characters. It must be a minimum of 3 characters. However, this name it should only support letters, numbers, or dashes. So we should remove the underscore. Let's see, it's available. The name of the jar file, because it compiles a jar file for us automatically, it's this. And because we are just working on it's sandbox, I'm going to leave every parameter the same. I'm not trying to increase the worker size because it's a very simple application. I'll deploy the application. This takes some few minutes. Let's see. You can see. So when it comes to this page, your everything is pretty good. You can actually close the window. That means it has sent the file to any point cloud. You can actually close this, and you can actually go and monitor from the browser. You can actually go and monitor from the browser. You can also click this to go to the browser, but for preference sake, I just come here, I refresh, to here, I refresh, and I can see that it's currently deploying. So if you have multiple applications, you can see all of them. However, because we are working with a sandbox license just for the training purposes, we don't have a luxury of that. So it takes a few minutes. After it deploys, you are going to see how to get the URL endpoint that can actually share across your team and actually start developing. Actually start share across and collaborate with other developers. So let's just I'll be back to this place when it's done deploying code and the rest. So you can actually see logs. Yeah, it tells you the number of workers that are using when your application was started. You can actually it provides a lot of advanced features. You can actually search based on time and the rest. So however, let's go back. Let's go back. When we click on this, we currently have a URL. All we just need to do is use this. We can now share it across developers or wherever you're working with, and do this. So now I'm replacing my local host colon 8081 with this that automatically changes the endpoint. I don't need to worry about looking for whether I'm on a local host or not. This is the beauty of using Mulesoft. Immediately you're done on your local host, on your personal system, you move to the cloud, it changes the endpoints for you. So I'm just going to execute this process again to see the results. So we have our value total, and if we see, go to the logs. So you can actually, when you click on log this, you can yeah, you see the logs. Let's see what happened. Okay, yeah, just as an execution notice. This is an execution, and everything looks pretty okay to us. Everything looks pretty okay. So now you can actually see your application in real time. You can see application that is available. You can see how what percentage if you're working with a database scenario, you'll be seeing spikes here. But because you're actually doing a little transaction that doesn't consume a lot of memory or a lot of logical units, we can't see anything interesting. But when you start actually doing database operation, FTP calls, you'll be seeing spikes in your on the chart here. So I think this brings us to the end of the session on how to deploy to cloud. Over the next couple of then it will also be coming across different series. We'll be looking at the design center, which is I spoke earlier on. Yeah, design center. Also we'll be looking at the various other tools in endpoint studio, how to derive better value, how to actually progress, how to optimize your APIs. So feel free, like I said, to ask questions, to comment, to interact with the community at large, and also share the knowledge with across board. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks a lot.